I'd like to welcome in now Dave Hatter, a cybersecurity consultant with Entrust. Dave, thank you so much for your time today. Absolute chaos. How does something like this happen, and how does it happen on such a massive scale?
Well, thanks for having me on, Nicole. I appreciate the opportunity to update people on this. Brooke had mentioned CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike is a third party company, a very well known and well respected company that makes cybersecurity software. Think antivirus in kind of regular man's terms. Folks have heard of McAfee and Symantec before. This is, a very high level enterprise grade antivirus software. And apparently, again, I don't have any reason to doubt what the CEO has said. They rolled out an update last night to Windows-based computers running CrowdStrike, and unfortunately, they were all quote brick. That's what we nerds call it when the machine won't reboot. You saw that blue screen of death on a lot of those screens. So, CrowdStrike has a gigantic footprint out in the market, and basically every Windows computer that's running that CrowdStrike antivirus software wouldn't reboot. That's why it's not more widespread. It's not a Microsoft issue; it's a CrowdStrike issue. If that makes sense.
Well, it does make sense, Dave. But I guess my question after that is, if this update was sent out, wouldn't there have been troubleshooting done beforehand to prevent something like this from happening?
Well, well, Nicole, that's the billion dollar question today, because I think when you look at the amount of downtime this is causing, this is going to be, huge impact, probably one of the biggest cyber related incidents we've seen. And again, I have no reason to believe it's anything other than what they said, just a software defect. But for what it's worth, I spent 25 years in the business as a software engineer. I can tell you I've rolled out bad software before. Again, this is a very well respected company. It's hard for me to understand how this could have happened because of the nature of what they do in general, and the fact that their software, once it's installed in your environment, can cause this kind of problem. So, it again appears to be just some kind of mistake. But you're asking the right question. How can this happen? And that's my concern for CrowdStrike. I mean, people are going to lose confidence in the software. I would be hard pressed to want to go forward with them as a vendor after this, because how can they assure me it won't happen again?
Right. I mean, we're talking 911 call centers, we're talking airlines. I mean, and
Yeah.
globally, this is so extremely massive. So, Dave, experts have say that the cause has been found, whether or not there was troubleshooting done beforehand, the fix has been deployed. So, what does that really mean? How is this fixed, and how long is it potentially going to take to get everything back online?
Well, this is the big part of the problem. Normally, if you work with a company like Entrust, we'd have software that would let us remotely access your computers to deal with something like this. But because the nature of the antivirus software and the way it works so close to the actual computer itself to protect it, the machines won't reboot. There's no way for me to remotely get to them. So now I have to go touch these things. CrowdStrike pretty quickly solved the problem and put out instructions for how to solve it. But unfortunately, Nicole, I can't remote in. I've got to go touch every machine. Now imagine large organization, let's say you have 10,000 computers. I got to touch 10,000 of those computers to basically start up in Windows safe mode, recover the system, uninstall their software, and then put it back. So if it took me, let's just say 1 minute per computer, which is a very unrealistic estimate, that's 10,000 minutes just to make them work again. And that's why we're
Wow.
seeing so much chaos around this. Thankfully, it's not every Windows computer, because again, it's not a Microsoft problem, it's a CrowdStrike problem. But it also points out how reliant we are on technology, how it increasingly impacts our real world and causes issues in the real world, and why we're so past the time where we got to get serious about making sure that the software is not only secure but robust and resilient. Because imagine if this were every Windows computer in the world,
Right.
what we'd be looking at today.
Absolutely. I mean, what does this say, Dave, about our reliance on technology? Because what if this were every Microsoft computer?
Well,
Are we going to see more massive incidents like this?
unfortunately, I'm afraid we will. Fortunately, there are organizations like CISA, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, pushing a concept called secure by design, where it forces companies to focus on security, resilience, as opposed to market share and speed to market and that kind of thing. But we're at a place, again, I did this for 25 years, wrote software. I could tell you I created a lot of bugs, never on purpose. We just got to get serious about this. And my concern is, imagine if a nation state actor like China were to get access to CrowdStrike or another major third party vendor, or even Microsoft or Oracle or someone, and could plant a back door in there where they could just set this off whenever they wanted. Again, I know this sounds crazy, and I admit, Nichole, I am a bit of a tinfoil hat guy, but because I know how this works, and I've been warning about this kind of thing for a long time, as have many others. We have got to get serious about the fact that software drives our entire society. It's in our cars, it's in our TVs, it's in our coffee makers. And we've got to make sure that this kind of thing can't happen again, or we're going to be in big trouble.
Right. And, and Dave, to be fair, I mean, it doesn't sound crazy when, on Wednesday or, even yesterday morning when we woke up, we would have never thought something like this could happen. And now here we are with this global outage that we have seen. So, yeah, hopefully, is there a way, do you think, to prevent something like this from happening as we move forward?
Well,
Or is it just the nature of technology?
uh, there are ways to prevent it, but it's difficult and costly and time consuming. And I don't think there's any way you can just do it in a way that's completely foolproof. But again, it's getting serious about focusing on making sure when I release software, it can't cause this kind of problem. It's testing it, it's slowing down the release cycle. But the problem with that is if there is an actual cyber attack and I got to patch my software to stop it, and then you wait to install the software, then now I'm in this cycle of, well, I'm subject to the cyber attack or I brick my computers. This is a difficult problem. Moving slower is probably going to be better.
Yeah.
It can be solved, but we're at a place now where it's going to be tricky, and it's going to take some real diligence and some focus on not letting this happen again.
Absolutely. A cybersecurity consultant, Dave Hatter, thank you so much for your time. Really good conversation.
Thank you, Nichole. Have a great day.
You as well.